the 20 or so world leaders that gathered in Egypt for the Israel-Hamas peace signing agreement just recently was Gianni Infantino. Now, if you don't know, Gianni Infantino is the president of FIFA, the nonprofit that runs the World Cup, the soccer or football organization, one of the biggest in the world. And if you're asking yourself, why was the president of FIFA at an intimate peace signing agreement for the Middle East? Well, you should know that the Swiss-born Italian Gianni Infantino feels Arab sometimes.
Today I feel Arab. Today I feel African. Today I feel gay. Today I feel disabled. Today I feel a migrant worker.
I love when he actually starts to get into it a little bit. He's like, I do feel gay. I do feel a migrant worker. Anyways, Infantino made these remarks around the Qatar World Cup. And it got a lot of press coverage at the time because it really was as crazy as that soundbite makes it seem. It is one of the most stunning press conferences anyone has ever given in the history of anything. But it's relevant again to me today in light of Infantino's appearance at the Middle East Peace Summit.
Football's role has to be to support, has to be to unite, has to be to give hope in the region, in Gaza, in Palestine.
Give hope. Yes. Nominally, the FIFA president Gianni Infantino was at an intimate Middle East peace summit because FIFA will have a role to play in giving hope and uniting the Middle East. But that's bullshit. Gianni Infantino and FIFA were there to engage in the time-honored FIFA tradition of laundering influence and reputation for powerful people while couching it all in language around social good and social responsibility and peace and progress. It is not a new take to say that FIFA has over and over again abdicated the responsibility to make the kind of social change that they are actually uniquely positioned to make in favor of lining their own pockets and peddling influence. But in light of several recent events, this peace summit, Trump's behavior vis-a-vis the World Cup, which will be hosted in part in the United States in 2026, and Infantino himself, it is relevant again today. And that is what we were talking about. My name is Carly Riley. This is the Carly P. Riley Show. I look at what powerful people are doing and saying, and we break it down and we dissect it, and we, if you would like to join me twice a week, we look at the headlines behind the headlines, and if you'd like to join me, would love to have you subscribe to the channel, comment below, or share this video if you get some value out of it. So look, you might be thinking, FIFA? Well, that's just the non-profit that runs the World Cup. But oh, gentle reader, naive viewer, you would be so wrong.
What is it exactly that FIFA does?
Not only to develop this game and to organize competition, but to try to make a little bit a better world.
We need to take our responsibilities, not only when it comes to the game itself, but also to our social role. And we want to play this responsibility at full. That's at least the way that I see it and the way that the new FIFA sees it.
Yes, FIFA's role is not just to organize soccer, it's to make the world a little bit better, make it a little bit better. At least the new FIFA is doing that, not the old FIFA. Because if you don't know, if you're not familiar, and if you are, you may want to skip ahead a minute, but if you don't know, the old FIFA was mired in scandal.
New corruption allegations have engulfed soccer's world governing body.
This tournament has been tainted by allegations that multi-million-dollar bribes were paid for the rights to host it.
This really is the World Cup of fraud, and today we're issuing FIFA a red card.
I cannot tell you how many red card puns I had to endure during the making of this video. In any case, yes, FIFA had decades of corruption and money laundering and tax evasion, and many senior FIFA officials were ultimately charged and prosecuted by the American DOJ. And so when Gianni Infantino took over as president of FIFA in 2016, he was determined to set a new tone for the new FIFA.
Many people who deserve that FIFA is highly respected, and we will restore the image of FIFA and the respect of FIFA. And everyone in the world will applaud us, and will applaud all of you.
You know, it's interesting because on the one hand, that sounds like just a charming turn of phrase by a man who does not speak English as his first language, trying to express that he hopes to restore the respect for an institution and an organization that he loves. But I can't help but feel that Gianni Infantino actually let a little bit more slip than he intended to with that particular phrasing. Because Infantino comes across as somebody who is deeply preoccupied with the perception, the press and public perception of him, as evidenced by the fact that he is very butthurt that the media has apparently not gotten on board with the idea of fawning over the new FIFA.
I don't understand, for example, why some of you are so mean. Why? Why? I don't get it. We work hard, I work hard, the whole FIFA team works hard. We don't steal, we don't profit.
Again, I don't want to make fun of the man who is giving press conferences in his non-native language.
Like, oh, let's make fun of the girl who took a risk and put herself out there creatively.
However, we don't steal is not the selling point I think he thinks it is. And that second point, we don't profit, that's where it gets even dicier.
FIFA announced record revenues of nearly $8 billion, Gab. And Gianni Infantino gets himself a little present, a bonus of $1.8 million.
The FIFA World Cup's ticket pricing is beyond ridiculous. The Category 1 ticket was $2,735. But to top it all off, we have the World Cup final, which is essentially the final boss of capitalist greed in sport.
That's right! Despite the fact that FIFA is a non-profit organization that makes billions of dollars through World Cup ticket sales and broadcast revenue and FIFA the video game and on and on and on, they're nevertheless looking to boost their revenue from this upcoming World Cup games in North America by 400% over how much they made in Qatar last time. And they're doing that by fucking over consumers.
FIFA is bending over their fans and slapping them on the butt.
Usually, FIFA sets aside a certain number of tickets at price-capped prices or discounted prices for residents of the home cities in which FIFA games or World Cup games are taking place. But this year, they actually decided they might not do that. A decision that has maybe now been reversed because of all the fan backlash, but nevertheless, the price gouging has been so insane for this year's World Cup that even the New York City mayoral candidate, Zohran Mamdani, commented on it just this past week.
I have long been quite troubled by how the supposed stewards of the game have opted for profit time and time again at the expense of the people that love this game.
Exactly. FIFA, a non-profit organization, I cannot say this enough, a non-profit organization is looking to boost profits at the expense of the fans who love the game that they are supposed to primarily be the steward and champion of. And this kind of price gouging unaffordability is exactly the kind of thing that Donald Trump, with all of his power and influence, might take some time to focus on. But no. Instead, Trump is focused on using the World Cup games as a way to threaten American cities, liberal, of course, American cities, by saying that he will strip the World Cup from them and send them to different cities if those cities don't pleaseth him enough.
If somebody is doing a bad job, and if I feel there's unsafe conditions, I would call Gianni, the head of FIFA, who's phenomenal, and I would say, let's move it to another location. And he would do that. Would we think about taking the World Cup away from Boston if they don't straighten it out? And the answer is yes, we have the right to do that with FIFA.
Boston? Boston's not safe enough for Trump? This is how you know this whole thing is a pretext and not based in reality at all. The most dangerous thing that's going to happen to you in Boston is getting called a pussy in the back of an Uber for putting a seatbelt on. And this is where Gianni Infantino's sycophantic hypocrisy really starts to get grating. Because Trump is doing all this by invoking the name of FIFA and Infantino specifically and their weird close friendship.
This goes beyond what could be described as a political relationship.
The head of FIFA was up there. And so it was me, Trump, his daughter, and then the head of FIFA. And then he introduced Ivanka to the head of FIFA. And he was like, and they gave us the World Cup, and they did that because of me.
A lot of people in football and the world are shocked, if not surprised, at the presence of Donald Trump right in the centre of Chelsea's trophy lift for the Club World Cup.
We brought as well this, which is the winner's trophy. This is for winners only. And since you are a winner, of course, you can as well touch it. It's pretty heavy. Yeah. It's the winner trophy.
Please accept this gift on behalf of Apple. Next. Mr. President, your idea is incredible. You do not have smart penis.
That's a beautiful piece of gold, I will say. That's beautiful.
Yeah, there is a key.
Oh, wow.
There is no other sports trophy like that.
Oh, that is good. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
You gotta be kidding me. Wow. Wow. It really is incredible how everyone has gotten the memo that if you just bring something gold and shiny to the White House, like the president is a 5-year-old, he will be your best friend. It's like so crazy. In any case, I highly doubt that Donald Trump is serious about his threats. I doubt he is actually going to strip any American cities of the World Cup. It strikes me as much more likely that Trump is simply using this as the kind of grandstanding, attention-grabbing, media bomb-dropping thing that he likes to do in order to watch the people scramble and freak out about it. But the reality is that Infantino is clearly more than happy for the US president to leverage his name and that of FIFA's in this way. And while FIFA has always claimed to be a not political organization, its presidents do have a long history of enjoying being cozy and in close proximity to power, consequences or implications be damned.
I would like to express special thanks to Mr. Infantino and underline his commitment to the ideals of sport and justice, and of course his consistently positive attitude towards our country.
And those relationships with political power have costs. The biggest scandal in Infantino's reign to date is the Qatar World Cup. A World Cup shrouded in scandal from start to finish, and also with a literal death toll.
Analysis by The Guardian in 2021 revealed that at least 6,500 migrant workers had died in Qatar since the World Cup was awarded.
6,500 migrant workers dead. Now, not all of those were working on World Cup-related projects, but many of them were. And when Infantino finally, belatedly, sat down for a press conference to address the concerns and the outrage that had been growing over this for years, he opened with the clip that we showed you earlier. I feel gay. I feel migrant worker. But don't worry, because he corrected the record later in a way that made it absolutely fucking worse.
Of course, I'm not gay, I'm not disabled, I'm not really a migrant worker, but I feel like them because I know what it means to be discriminated. As a child, at school, I was bullied because I had red hair.
Attempting to paper over actual human rights abuses, the death of thousands of migrant workers working on your stadiums, by claiming you also know what it's like to be discriminated against because you were a fucking redhead growing up, it is so crazy. It is so crazy. You are the president of FIFA. You make $4.7 million a year, by the way. That's his updated salary. 4.7, having a dream job as the president of a soccer nonprofit. What are we doing? What are we doing? But here's the thing. Infantino had moved to Qatar for the 6 years leading up to the Qatar World Cup. So many felt that the tone-deaf things he was saying in the press conference were as much about covering for the Qatari government as it was about covering for FIFA. He was more concerned with maintaining his relationship, protecting his relationship with senior-level Qatari officials and high-ranking political figures than grappling with the genuine human rights consequences of the decision for the World Cup to be held in Qatar, a country with some questionable labor practices and 125-degree heat. And yet, in a truly Infantinian, FIFAfian twist, within a year of the Qatar World Cup, the ever press and perception conscious Infantino was once again giving a press conference. This time where he tried to couch a FIFA money grab that was to try and make the World Cup be every 2 years as opposed to every 4 years, as really motivated by a moral good for the world and his newfound concern for migrant rights.
To give hope to Africans so that they don't need to cross the Mediterranean in order to find maybe a better life, but more probably death.
Could someone break down for us what the fuck he's talking about?
Now to some extraordinary comments by FIFA President Gianni Infantino, who today said holding a World Cup every 2 years could prevent African migrants from, quote, dying in the sea. The Kick It Out Chief Executive Tony Burnett has given his reaction to the comments. FIFA is a multi-billion profit-making organisation. They already have the funds to invest in creating and inspiring opportunity for disadvantaged people around the world. It is therefore completely unacceptable to suggest that the biennial World Cup, predominantly set up to further drive profits for FIFA, could be a solution for migrants who risk their lives, sometimes fleeing war-torn countries to seek a better life.
Yeah, there you have it. That perfectly captures the cynicism of FIFA, the new FIFA, led by Gianni Infantino. He pays the most bullshit lip service to issues that he can tell people care about and that he himself, I think, has himself convinced he actually does care about, while doing nothing to actually structurally or in important ways deal with those issues, while maintaining a cozy relationship with the people who perpetuate those issues. And this brings us back to Infantino's appearance at the latest Israel-Gaza peace summit. A peace summit that he flew to, by the way, on a Qatari state private jet that he uses to fly around the world. Because while Infantino was, again, nominally at this peace conference to talk about the role FIFA was going to play in rebuilding Gaza, something which, by the way, is probably true to some degree. FIFA has spent millions of dollars donating soccer balls and building pitches in places around the world, including, by the way, in Gaza in the past. It's not nothing. It's not a charitable organization that does literally nothing good. But it is bullshit to pretend that it's doing more than it is. Because Infantino fundamentally was at this press conference at the behest of his buddy Donald Trump. It wasn't about Gaza. It's about access and image and a mutually beneficial relationship. FIFA's president gets to continue the time-honored tradition of hobnobbing with presidents and political elites, which give him all sorts of benefits, like, for example, private planes he can use to fly around the world. While Trump gets to dangle his friendship with Infantino to cities back home who he is bullying. And that's what makes Infantino's relationship with Trump so perfect. These are both men who see institutions, whether it's governments or media or nonprofits, as simply tools for image management. Trump gets to look like a statesman while palling around with the steward for the world's most popular game, while Infantino gets proximity to power and headlines and legitimacy. An inspiration for the persecuted redheads everywhere. But the problem is, while this goes on, the actual football fans, the people who fill the stadiums and scrounge and save to pay for the tickets, and who believe that sports does in fact actually unite people, they get stuck holding the bag and funding the illusion. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, I would love if you would consider sharing it with somebody else who you think might enjoy it, or subscribing to the channel.